Hello, this is Soaper Woman again. We're back now for the cutting of my cow's milk soap, which is really cow's milk and coconut milk. You can see here I have put it in a milk carton, so we're going to unmold it. What I use when I'm insulating milk cartons, because they get very hot because of how deep and thick they are, I usually just put a silicone mat, like a cookie sheet mat, over the top of it, and that seems to be enough to warm it. But you do want to go back and check it because it can get overheated, and you see there's just a little tiny cracking at the top here, which is no big deal. That's just the end of the soap, but sometimes it can get pretty deep cracks. So you probably will unmold earlier than you would in a traditional mold or loaf mold. So you just want to be careful of that and pay attention to it. This is how you unmold. You always want to do not pour all the way to the top because you want room to be able to cut the carton. And then you just peel it like those pop-up rolls you can buy. It just peels down. You may have to cut it again. Sometimes it tears. You'll want to make sure that this soap is good and hard, because if it's not, you can do some damage to the soap, because it's not graceful. The way you peel it is not a graceful thing. Sometimes when you get to the seam here, it won't want to tear. So you have to, you always want to kind of tear at a downward motion so it keeps tearing, which I'm trying to keep it in frame here, so I'm not doing the neatest job of that. See, I just cut that off, but that's okay. We're at the seam here, so we can recut it. I love this bar. It makes a ton of soap, putting it in a, so you want to have a large soap recipe. It makes, I cut the bar in half and then slice those halves, and I mean half longwise, and they're still nice sized bars. I am not sure what size bars are good. Some people are really strict about that with their soaps. They do 1-inch soap bars. That's pretty standard. I cut some of my soaps by hand, like this one I will cut by hand, and I can't guarantee that they're perfect. I like a fatter bar. I just personally like a fatter bar to wash with, so I figure other people do too. I usually cut my loaves 1.5 or 1.25. This one you get so much soap out of, and such nice big bars, that you can cut them a little thinner. That's fine. Sometime I should do a video on how to repair damaged soap. I'm an expert at that because I'm not too, I'm impatient. I like to open my soaps up 8 hours, 6 hours, or even with the salt bars and stuff, 3 or 4 hours. So my bars tend to be a little soft. This one's nice and hard though. When you're peeling, and obviously you can see here I'm kind of manhandling the soap, so you can't really have a soft soap in these. But the good news is for impatient people, that these almost always gel. They almost always are finished way before 24 hours, usually around 8 hours. This one I think is maybe a little over 12 hours I put it in here. And they're really good soaps. You usually don't have any soda ash on them. They're just the best. But they do give you a rustic soap. So if you're one of those people that likes perfect soaps, that all the edges are smooth and pretty, you won't necessarily like milk carton soaps. I personally love them. I like the way they feel in your hand. I like the way they last because they're always gelled. It's just a good soap. Now, if you see there's marks here, you can smooth those out, unless your bar is too hard, in which case you'll have a really hard time doing this. Now we're down at the bottom where we should be able to just pull it off here. Should be able to, I say. That doesn't mean we will. Oh. I'm notoriously bad at corners, so I tend to lose my soap corners, but not in these, of course, because you're tearing it around the corners. Okay, so any marks you get, you can smooth out. So that's easy. Get rid of all this paper. Okay, now, you can cut this with cutters depending on the slicers that you have. My cutters are a little small for how thick this is. And you can do it two ways. You can cut it long ways first, or cut it this way and then cut it long ways. I think I'm going to do this. I go right down the middle, or what I perceive as the middle. Again, I'm not into perfection. I don't measure. But you'll see how many bars this one. Oh, this is perfect. This is smooth. Push on both sides of your knife. That'll give you a straighter cut. Got the edge of the table. Okay. Alright. Alright. Now I will look how pretty that is. That is a pretty soap. And it's a wonderful smooth texture. This is, by the way, the first time I've ever made this soap. I can tell you the story of what I'm doing. I have only been soaping for 4 months now, and I have made hundreds of bars of soap. So I'm kind of a beginner expert because I have made so many bars of soap. And my goal is to make every conceivable kind of soap that's ever been put out there on the internet. So a lot of my soaps are not originally mine. Oh, by the way, I do have this recipe down in the box below, so you can get it. I do adapt some of the recipes I have to turn them into my recipe, but I feel like there's so many recipes that people give out there. But I'm perfectly want to give credit where credit is due. If you ever see a soap on any of my videos, I don't claim that they're mine unless they are, but sometimes I don't give credit where credit is due because I cannot remember where I got some of these. Like, I don't remember where I got this one. So if you see that it's yours, I'm more than happy to give you a shout out on the comment boxes. But I can show you real quick here. In 4 months, this is how many soap recipes I have done in 4 months. And some of these recipes I've done more than once. Some of them I've adapted. I always make my notes. Yes, I do them on paper. I also use the computer to keep track of all my soaps because I've made hundreds and hundreds of soaps. Look at that. That's like insane. And I can't stop. I've got probably half this many left to do. But my goal is to do like every soap recipe there is out there in the world. Not to mention I've done a few of my own. And then I find the best soap recipes that I love the most, and then those will be my base soaps that I'll sell. I'm fond of fruit soaps. Now I'm going to cut this in half and then cut that in half, and that's going to be the finished bar. This is a brand new table I'm working on, and it's got a rim on it, so it won't let me cut things down right to the bottom. If you're not visually acutive or you're obsessed about making perfect size bars, then get a ruler out. But there it is, and you can see how pretty this cut, and oh, there. I'm trying to get it in frame. There we go. how pretty this cut, how smooth it is, and how it didn't crumble anywhere. It left nice, perfect cuts. No ashing. I do always use rubbing alcohol spray on the top. I don't have to on these because they gel so well. I've never had a milk carton soap that didn't gel, so I don't think that's even possible. They just do. So for beginners, milk carton soaps are really great because they're sort of foolproof. But like I said, the one thing you want to worry about is keeping it in there too long, because it will get too hot, especially if it's a soap that has a lot of sugar in it. You may not even need to cover it, and it will still gel. And it gels quickly. It's a fast geller. I'm okay with this color in the gel. Sometimes I don't gel my soaps because the color turns out really icky and I don't like it. The non-gelled one will be more milky looking, more cream looking, but this color is very good, I think. And the coconut in it, it's a really soft, nice exfoliant. It's not going to be scratchy. I did put the full recipe in the box, but I didn't use all the coconut that was in the recipe. You can, it won't hurt anything, but I felt that it was just a little more than I needed, so I used about 2/3 of that. So if you want to do that as well, that wouldn't be a bad idea. So anyway, thank you for watching my very first video and cutting of my milk soap, and I hope to be doing a lot more videos, and we'll see you then.